Okay, hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about the animal tissue. We completed the plant tissue in earlier class session. Okay, now we're going to talk about the animal tissue. The moment I say animal tissue, what comes in your mind? What comes in your mind? The blood and the muscles are an example of tissue. Why blood is a tissue? How can you say blood is a tissue? The blood is a liquid. Mostly blood is what? Liquid in nature. So how it's tissue? Because blood is called a major connective tissue, as you can write it here. Blood is called a major connective tissue because it connects all the organs. Now tell me one thing, in the respiration you have to exchange of the gases. Blood is responsible for that. Hemoglobin is there. In blood there is the WBCs are there, yes or no? WBC are for the fighting against the bacteria. In blood there is a platelets for what? Clotting of the blood. Okay. Then in the blood, there are other plasma is there for the other purposes. So can I say blood is connect everywhere in our body compartment? Blood is flowing here and there. Exchange of the gases, taking the unwanted parts, unwanted material. Yes or no? So blood connects all the organs, and that's why it's called connective tissue, a bigger connective tissue. Which is the largest organ in the body? Skin, exactly. Why? Because it covers all the body parts. So when you heard about the blood, blood is what? A major connective tissue. A major connective tissue as it connects all the body parts or the organs. Okay. Now that is okay. So why we have to study this? So muscle, blood and the muscles are example of tissue found in our bodies. Tissues are classified into four categories on the basis of their function. In plant tissue, we talk about the simpler one and the complex one. In complex, there is a permanent one, right? Simpler means what? A group of same type of cells. Same type of cells was there, right? And when you talk about the animal tissues, here their naming or their classification depends on the what function they perform. Okay, because animals tissue, when you're talking about, I ask you the question, it totally depend on the locomotion. What are the functions are there? According to that, classification is there. The first cell is epithelial cell. What is epithelial? Above the layer, epithelial. Okay, skin is epithelial. Then muscular tissue for relaxation, contraction. Okay, muscle fibers are there. Connective tissue which connects all the other tissues for the nourishment, for the removal of the waste. And the nervous tissue is definitely for brain. For what? Conduction of information, that is impulse. Correct. Okay, in nervous tissue we have to study the brain and the spinal cord. So let's begin with that. This is visible to you, right? Okay. So the moment I talk about the epithelial tissue, what are the epithelial tissue? Epi matlab kya? Above. Epi means what? Above. Thelial means the above layer is what? Epithelial tissue. Your skin is a dead one, because when the microbes are getting out of that, all the water is absorbed by this dried skin, and this is act like a physical barrier for a micro harmful bacteria. So skin is a physical barrier. कभी आईने में देखा है ऐसे zoom करके कितनी गंदी skin दिखती है? If you see in microscope your skin, you will be like, no, I don't want to apply anything over there. Why? Because it's a dry. It has to be dry. Why it has to be dry? If the microbes come, water get absorbed, and once water get absorbed from the any cell, cell is not that much active. This point is clear. Okay. Now, epithelial tissue are found in the outer layer of the skin. What is the thing? Outer layer of the skin. It is the simplest tissue and protective tissue of the animal body. So epithelial, how do I remember? Epithelial means what? Above of the skin, and it is for protection. Yeah, epidermis is the outer layer. So epithelial is a thelial means what? Group of cell that is protective lining is there. Okay. So the type of epithelial tissues are, we have to study that. So epithelial tissue, when you talk about, it's all about what? The above layer tissues. Okay, let's begin with this. So just write one thing in your book. Epithelial tissues are found on the outer layer skin, protective tissues and animal body. That is the 2 points you have to write quickly. Okay, so we are going to talk about this animal tissues, epithelial tissues for found in the above layer and protective tissue of the animal body. Let's go further. here we're going to talk about. So first is a squamous epithelium. First is what? Squamous epithelium. What is that squamous? Let's study that. Let me write. The first cell is squamous. Okay, when you talk about squamous, that means this cell are very close to each other. There is no gap in between. There is no interstitial space. So they are very crowded. They look like pavements. What is pavements? When you go on the roadside, you will find the footpath, right? You can find out there are tiles like or something like this. They're attached to each other. This are not similar. It's called a squamous. So it's also look like a tile-like structure or a pavement-like structure. So they form a lining of cavities. What are the cavities? Mouth, esophagus, nose, pericardium, alveoli, and a blood vessel. It forms the covering of the tongue and the skin. Why squamous? Because they have a thin layer. In case of alveoli, it is found in the lungs. Okay, it's found in lungs. So exchange of gases very easy. Now you want to go outside. You have a door. Can you go out from that glass? You have to. If there is no option, then what you do? It is easy or that is easy. This is easy. But this is you have to break it and all. So what is the first case you use? You will use this. So for going out, you need a smooth pathway. Similarly, for exchange of gas, if suppose this is alveoli, okay, air is coming inside. So there are blood vessels. So permeability is depend on the thinness of the layer. If it is a thin layer, if layer is a thick, exchange will be difficult. If the layer is very thin, it will be very easy. So you can see that mouth, you have to engulf it. Esophagus, nose, pericardium. Pericardium is related to cardiac muscle. Then alveoli, blood vessels are also form of squamous epithelium. Why? A very thin lining is there. So exchange of gases is very easy. Getting my point? So whenever thin lining is there, which cell should be there? Squamous epithelium tissue will be there. Then columnar. When you talk about the columnar, the lining of the small intestine and the stomach is made up of the columnar epithelium. Column means what? Column-like structure like this. Okay. Intestine. What is the intestine? Mostly absorption area. Food is getting much of the absorb over here. So they need a columnar lining. Why? There is no squamous. Otherwise, all will be absorbed. We want only nutrition should be get absorbed. So little thick layer should be there. So columnar epithelium are there. It is made up of the columnar epithelium. It forms the mucous membrane. What are the mucous membrane? Who prevents us? Like the mucus is from respiratory. If there is something inside from the mucus, right? We do like this, right? So everything is getting out. And inside the stomach, there is a mucous membrane should be there because HCl is also secreting. So our cell of what? Wall of a wall of a stomach should not get damaged. So there is a mucus secretion is there. So who is secreting? Columnar. See, columnar epitheliums are column-like and they have a gland-like structure. So they can secrete. Okay. Then form the lining of the gallbladder and the oviduct. What do you mean by oviduct? A fallopian tube. What are the fallopian tube? In a sexual reproduction part of female. Of sexual reproduction of female. When you talk about, okay, this is a ova. From ova is coming. Male has a sperm, female has a ova. So this area, the tube which is carrying the ova, the tube that is called oviduct. That is called what? Oviduct. That is oviduct also called as a fallopian tube. Fallopian tube. What is fallopian tube? As per your knowledge, as per your class, you should know fallopian tube is a area of fertilization or where the fusion of male and female gamete is done in the fallopian tube or oviduct. What do you know about that? In your class, you should know fallopian tube is the one where male gamete and female gametes are fused together. Okay, then cuboidal epithelium. What is cuboidal epithelium? A cube-like structures are there. This is columnar, little bit bigger. Please pay attention. I will give you time to write. Don't worry. Right? Just listen because we have now time. I want you clear all concept. We don't are running here and there, right? We don't have exam. So please pay attention. I will give you all the notes. Don't worry about it. So when you talk about a cuboidal epithelium, it's a cube-like structures. It's a cube. Can you see that? This area, this length and this length, this is higher. This is a cube-like structure. It forms the lining of kidney tubules and a salivary glands. Why salivary glands? To secrete salivary amylase will be there. Okay. Now, ciliated. What is ciliated? Cilia. Cilia means what? If the cell is there, hair-like projections are there. It's called ciliated. So they are found in the respiratory tract. Cilia is a hair-like projection on the outer surface of epithelium cells. These are called as ciliated epithelium. In your whole respiratory tract, there are ciliated cells are there. If something is get inside, are you going to do simply? No. Are you going to do that? No, because that is very sensitive. You can't even do this. What is going to happen? Choke up will be there, right? It will be very infectious problem will be there. So the body, suppose this is your respiratory tract. Here, all ciliated muscles are there. Here, ciliated muscles are there. Hair-like projections are there. They do the upward direction movement. Okay, this point is clear. Okay, so we talk about squamous, columnar, cuboidal, and the ciliated muscles. Now let's talk about the structures. We talk about the what is the lining cell, linings are there. Now let's talk about it. This is your squamous first lining cell. Simple squamous. Can you see the single layers are there? Pavement like structure or tiles like structures are there. Yes or no? Okay. When you talk about the simpler cuboidal cell, cube like structures are there. Can you see the cube like structure? What is the difference between here or here? This is mostly thin layer. This is little thick layer and the nucleus at the center. Center nucleus is there. Okay. Then when you talk about the simpler columnar or we can say ciliated columnar. Ciliated. Ciliated. What is ciliated? Hair-like projections are there. Ciliated columnar are there. Then they are like this. Hair-like projections are there. Hair-like projection. And can you see that the size is much larger? And the nucleus at the base. See, understand. Simple squamous epithelium, a very crowded layer. Okay, a thin crowded like cells, tile-like structure or palmate-like structures are there. In case of simple cuboidal, cube-like structure, but nucleus is at the center. Please pay attention. Nucleus is at center. What is the function being nucleus at the center? They can control the secretions. If the nucleus at the base, they don't have that much secretion function, but they have a function of projection, hair-like projection. They can ciliate it. Okay. So if the nucleus at the base, it has a little use. But if the nucleus at the center, they can act like a secretory. Are you getting my point? Okay. Now, when you talk about stratified, stratified means what? One layer above one layer. We are just studying one layer. Now, when you talk about the stratified squamous epithelium, many layers are there. Many layers are there. Yes or no? Layers. Okay. So when I'm taking simple squamous epithelium one on one other, definitely I'm get a stratified squamous epithelium. So this is a protective lining is there. This is single line. This is protective lining. Now, what is the cuboidal structure? If I take one, two, three, one layer, two layer, but I can took more than that. I can take here many layers because that's a very thin one. In a cuboidal, I can take only two or three layer up to. So that is stratified cuboidal. What is stratified? One layer on other layer. That's called stratified. And when you talk about a stratified columnar, can you see that the layer is much more higher? Okay. So, and pseudo stratified. What am I pseudo stratified? Pseudo means what? False. Pseudo means what? False. Stratified means layers are there. It look like layers, but they are not layer. You can see single cell is there only. Yes or no? Single cell is there. It's a pseudo stratified along with the cilia. This point is clear. Only diagram was I wanted to show. ये समझा? Okay. Now, see, as I told you, if I get a longer time, I will teach you everything. Now, I want to study to show you something. Just one second. The same thing, just look at the diagram. Epithelium. Can you see simple squamous is like segment-like structure, tile-like structure. Cilia. Cilia also called as the microvilli. Cilia is also called as a microvilli. Stratified squamous, stratified columnar, stratified transition, pseudo. Okay. What do you mean by stratified? Can anybody tell me? One layer onto the other layer. Because we have to study, that's why we are studying only one layer. But they always will be in a group. So stratified. The moment you heard stratified means what? Group or layers. They has to be on layers. This point is clear? Good. One more. Just 1 second. See, on internet, I'm the one who search a lot, right? मुझे पता है कहाँ पे कहाँ है. So I'm just want to show you everything, that is make sure. Otherwise, if you stick to only one point, it will be not. If you have a digital plan, let's use it. That's why my strategy is this, to show you more image. Now, when you say stratified, you must remember, recall that image. It will be better for you, right? Always remember, our visualization memory is always higher than just memorizing. So when you visualize something while learning, it will be always be in your mind. हैव यू नोटिस समथिंग कि गूगल पे कुछ सर्च किया था, एक वर्ड या समथिंग अभी तक को याद है? ऐसा होता है कभी कभी? हाँ है ना? होता है कि नहीं? होता है, मेरे साथ तो होता है. अगर इफ आई एम सर्चिंग, आई एम गिविंग लिटिल इफोर्ट, इतना टाइम नहीं कि हर चीज हम ढूंढे, राइट? इफोर्ट ऑन दैट, तो वो चीज हमें याद हो जाती है. चलो लेट्स स्टार्ट. व्हिच चैप्टर वाज देयर? जस्ट वन सेकंड ना. वन सेकंड. हाँ, okay, this is the point. Epithelial tissue for protection, secretion, you can write this. You can make sure you can writing this. Okay, so while explaining, you can write that, right? So these are your notes, handwritten notes for the exam. Okay, now we're going to talk about these things. So let's make sure. So epithelial tissue functions are what? Protection, secretion, absorption, excretion, and mostly the sensory perception. What is sensory perception? Signals, right? Impulse will be there. So please write this book, things in a book. Categorized based on the shape of the cells and the layers. Stratified means what? A layers. Quickly write functions, protection, secretion, absorption. Mostly what? 99% is what? Protection will be there. Okay, I'm moving to the next one. Now, epithelial tissue means simple single layer. When you talk about is stratified, when you talk about what? Stratified, that means what? Multiple layers. That means what? Multiple layers are there. Then squamous. Squamous means what? Flat. Cuboidal means square. Columnar means what? Column, a rectangular one. So squamous was like this, right? Then cuboidal like this, and the columnar like this. Correct? One type of tissue can be arranged in a different forms. Each form has a different function. Again, please remember this thing. See, again, I'm talking about this. One type of tissue, epithelial tissue we are studying, but they are arranged in a many different layers. So function can be different. Getting my point? So that is the point you have to remember that. Now, what is this? Can you anybody tell me? Simple squamous alveoli. I told you now the example we have studied. How to predict it? So air is coming here, carbon dioxide and oxygen is there. Obviously, oxygen has to be entered. So oxygen has to be center. Can you see the layer? Single layer is there. Single lining layer is there. So which cell are these? Squamous. Simple squamous will be there because only extent thin layer is there. No, if you give the thick layer, it will be problematic. So blood vessel covering and the alveoli covering is made up of a single layer that is called a squamous. Getting my point? Okay. So simple squamous tissues are there. Nucleus is mostly beneath it, right? Okay. All epithelial tissue has a layer at the bottom called the basement membrane. What is that? Basement membrane. Can you see the layers? Single layer is there. And this layer is called basement membrane. Why membrane? Why membrane? Because it gives the membrane-like appearance. That's why membrane is there. Now, simple cuboidal. Can you see the simple cuboidal tissues here? Simple cuboidal tissues are here. Cube-like structures and the nucleus at the base, not at the center. It is the base or center? Tell me. Okay. Now, I will tell you. There is a confusion. If the columnar is there, then it is the base. But cuboidal is there, mostly it is center. Why? Because see, cube is very small structure. If this I put a nucleus here, it's almost look like it is a center, right? But in case of rectangular cell, that is a columnar cell, I can't keep this nucleus here because here cilias are there, right? So here will be nucleus at the base. This point is clear? Okay. So function, secretion and absorption. So secretion and absorption is done by which cell? Simple cuboidal cell found in the kidneys. Why in kidneys? Filtration has to be there. What is the major function of the kidney? Filtration. Tubules, ducts, and the covering the ovaries. Why ovary has to be covered? Only one ova has to be come out, right? So covering should be there. So which type of cell? If you look in a microscope, you will see these structures. Can you see that layers are two layers, stratified layers are there. This point is clear. So simple cuboidal, you have to draw the diagram, not right now, but afterwards. What is the function? Secretion and absorption. Why absorption? Why? What is absorption? Absorbing whatever is required. So layer is thick, then little thick, then what is required? A permeability is restricted. But in case of squamous, permeability is not restricted. Whatever they can extend. This point is clear. You are writing this part, right? Okay, let's move. Now, simple columnar. The moment I talk about the columnar, can you see nucleus at the base, basement membrane? Goblet cell. They have a goblet cell. What do you mean a goblet cell? You know, goblet, some actor is, no, some character is there, a goblet. Okay, let it be. You don't watch that series. Goblet is what? For secretion. Goblet cell is for secretion. So function, secretion and absorption found in the digestive tract. Now tell me, in digestive tract, a lot of secretions are there, right? So goblet cell in the columnar cell is responsible for secretion. In uterus, what is uterus? Mother womb, where the fetus is going to grow. So obviously that is also required nutrition and all. Then contains scattered goblet cells. Scattered means what? Every cell do not have a goblet cell. Some here, some here, some here. Okay, so scattered. What is scattered? Now you are in a scattered sitting position. Means what? One is here, one is here, one is here. You are not uniformly seated. Okay. Now, can have a microvilli to increase the surface area. What is microvilli? Cilia. Cilia, right? Microvilli is nothing but cilia, hair-like projection. To increase the surface area, they have a microvilli. This point is clear. So where you found a goblet cell? In a simple columnar, but in a scattered manner, not uniformly everywhere. Okay. So goblet cell is responsible for secretion of mucus. So from where you get this mucus? From the goblet cell of the respiratory tract. This point is clear. MCQs में आ सकता है. What we can ask for MCQ? Goblet cell secrete dash. Mucus or shembud? You don't know, understand, right? Acha. Mucus, right? What is mucus? It is a yummy. Actually, it's not yummy. Try to understand. Sometimes we engulf it. By mistakenly, everybody has engulfed it. It is not for yummy. It is for trapping the microbe. That's why it's a jelly-like structure, right? Okay. Chalo, let's go further. Now, stratified. What do you mean by stratified? What do you mean by stratified? Many layers are coming to the picture. That's called stratified. They are thinking in a microscope. Multi-layer squamous function in a protection. If there is a stratified squamous cells are there, it will be multi-layer thing. Ignore them. They are just thinking. Okay. Now, found lining body cavities, skin and mouth. Skin cannot be cavities. Yes, skin cannot be cavities, but it look like cavities in a microscope. Small pores are there now on the skin. So it look like cavities. So this is the cell. Are you going to identify why this is blue in color? when you want to observe anything in a microscope, you have to add a dye, either eosin dye, that is blue color, or either, yes, otherwise they are transparent. Light can be, you can't see anything. So to observe the something, you have to add a dye in a microscope. Okay, found lining the body cavities, skin, and the, yes, yes, methylene blue or eosin dye. Eosin give the red color, methylene blue give you blue color. Great, great, great. Let's go further. Don't. Let's go further. Now, tissue often come in the layers on the body. What is this happening? I know this is disturbing, but we have to study that. Cuts on the skin may need to be stitched if they also go through the underlying tissue. Now, if I want to snitch him, okay, क्या करना है मुझे? यहाँ पे ऐसे करूँ मैं? What I'm doing? I know this is so disturbing, but you have to understand something. If this layer is cut, try to understand. I'm going to tell you the function. That's why I'm giving you this information. Suppose this is cut. What's going to happen? Stitches are there. Stitches are doing what? Don't look at this. Look at here. What is going to happen if the two layers are separated? Now you will not see that. Two layers are separated. If I keep two layers like this, what going to happen? The gap in between them are going to form a new layer. Try to understand. This is a very minute cut. It can be happen. Okay. Now you must be seeing some cut is there. Only red color things are visible. That is a real skin. And the one who is above is a dead skin. So what is happening here? If the two layers, I mean, if there is a cut on the skin, and if the skin is, we forcefully do this, I mean, we try to tie it up with the stitches. What going to happen? They act like a same layer and they filled up. So this is the property of epithelial tissue. Getting my point? If there is a cut, it can be treated by itself only. So this is the property of, that is the point. Okay. Now we are going to talk about the muscular tissue. What are the muscular tissue? There are three types of muscular tissue. First of all, tell me what is the function of muscle? Contraction and relaxation. Only two function? No, because of the contraction and relaxation, we can move. So who is actually a moving thing is a muscle fibers. Okay. So muscle fibers are muscular tissues has been classified into the striated. What is striated? If the muscle is like this and there is striations. Striations means what? The layers, striations. Smooth and the cardiac muscle. Striated muscle, they are striated, show light and dark strips. So they look like a light strips, then there is a light, then is a dark strip, then light, then a dark. Because of the myosin fiber. Because of what? Myosin fiber. They are long and cylindrical and a multinucleated. Please pay attention. I will give you time to write because this is important. So what I'm trying to convey is you striated, they have a show light and dark strips like structure. They are long, cylindrical and multinucleated. Can you see that? Striations. Okay. They are what? Long. Why they multinucleated? Because they are layers. So they are multinucleated. They are found in the limbs, body wall and the neck. Neck, body wall and the limbs. They are voluntary. Voluntary means what? You can control them. Voluntary means what? Under your wish. Voluntary means what? Under your wish will be there. Then smooth, they are not striated. Smooth muscles are, can you see there is striations? Can you see here striations? Light, like suppose this is a muscle. These are the striations. Can you see here striations? Yes. Now here, it's not visible to you. Okay, wait. Now it's visible. So these are the striations. Smooth muscle do not contain striated. They are spindle shape. Spindle shape means what? This is a spindle shape. Okay. This is not a limb. Now, spindle means what? At the center, they have a bulge appearance. And the end, they towards the end, they are beetroot. What is a beetroot? It is a middle, it is a bulky structure. And above, tapering is there. So it look like that. Can you see that here? Okay. So when you talk about the smooth muscles, they are involuntary. They are not under your control. They are not under your control. Are you going to tell your heart, please stop for 1 second? No, you can't die. Are you going to tell your respiratory system, don't do that anything? I'm getting frustrated. Can you say that? Definitely you can't. Because they're involuntary. They are found in the wall of the tubular organs such as the stomach intestine, blood, and vessel. Sometimes when you're walking or sometimes when you are just sitting, you get a voice from the stomach. Mostly happen this. A very creepy voice is there. Why? Because muscle are contracting over there because digestion is continuously going on. So can you tell your stomach, today is my interview, please don't do that. Are we going to do that? No, that's a involuntary. In cardiac, what are the cardiac? Yes, when you feel hungry because your stomach knows at that time I'm getting food. Yes or no? So it start the digestion process. They are striated. Striated means what? Again, striations are there. Striation give the more framework. They are branch and the uninucleated. Only single nucleus is present. Who is multinucleated? Striated. Striated is also called visceral. Okay, that they occur only in the wall of the heart. So cardiac muscle are only on the found in the heart, myometrium. Okay, so they are involuntary. Definitely. What is the function of heart? To pump the blood continuously. Even you are sleeping, even you are walking, you are doing anything, or you do nothing. Still, he has to pump. So this muscle has to be very strong. So in examination, the question can be asked on this basis. So please write this in your book quickly. One second, something is problematic. Okay, so tell me that thing afterwards, right? Okay, so we have covered with a striated, smooth, and a cardiac. Let's go to the next part. That is your connective tissues. The moment I talk connective, that means connecting something, right? Connecting tissues. They are specialized to connect various body organs together. That's why it's called a connective tissue. Who is a major connective tissue? Blood. The tissue can connect bone to each other, muscle to bone, bind tissue, and give support to various parts of the body by creating a packing around the organ. So, what is actually connective tissue? Bone to bone to muscle, bone to muscle, we can talk about. Then bind tissue and other tissue to give the support. Right now, on the skeletal, all the muscle tissues are glued up. Otherwise, what's going to happen? Only skeleton will be there, right? So this connective tissue are responsible. Blood is connecting all the organs for the nutrition purpose and to take a waste material. But apart from that, there is a bone-bone connection. There is a muscle-muscle connection there. So this packing prevents the organ from getting displaced by the body movement. That's why I'm walking and my stomach is outside. It's not gonna happen, right? So it is what? There is a fluid in between. Cement-like structure is there, which is what? Connective tissue. The main function of a connective tissue is the binding, supporting, and packing together different organs of the body. So can I say that connective tissues act like a cement? Yes, exactly. Types of connective tissue. What are they? First is areolar connective tissue. Obviously, the name suggests what? This found between the skin and the muscles, blood vessels, and the bone marrow. What is bone marrow? The hollow part in between the bone is bone marrow, and which is responsible for production of calcium and phosphorus. All the calcium get deposited over there. It fills the space inside the organs and helps in the repair of the tissue after injury. So who is going to work repair injury? Areolar tissue. They don't have, they have a little space. That doesn't mean they have a air in between. Okay. Now what is this? I'm doing this. Some voice is coming. What's that? Which air? Actually, those are hydrogen bubbles. When you move your joints, when you move your joints, some gases releases and they stuck to the joints. Yes or no? Some people like do this. बहुत बड़ा आवाज आता है, right? They do. What is that? Hydrogen bubbles are there mostly, and we just it get popped up. Okay, so it doesn't mean you are breaking your joints. It doesn't mean that. Okay, so now adipose connective tissue. What are adipose? What is adipose? Adipose, a fatty composition will be there. Is the fat storing tissue. Adipose is what? Fat, fat storing tissue in our body. They are also found below the skin, between the internal organs. It act as an insulator. Okay, for example, some people are very thin. Don't look at me. Okay, some people are very fat. Now, what's going to happen with this skeleton is the same. What is the extra? adipose tissues contain the fat is extra. That's why they want to burn the fat, right? That's why they do the exercise. Yes or no? So those fats storing bags are beneath the skin. That is called adipose tissue. If the adipose tissue content is much more, what going to happen? Fat will be more. It will be create a problem, right? Why fat has to be there in the body to become motu? No. What is the reason for that? In an unfavorable condition, if you don't get anything, starvation should not happen. So we get a fat again. But if you're continuously eating and that fat is not utilized, definitely that fat will be create a problem. So this will be there. Now, the third next one is a tendon. What is the tendons? Tendons are the connective tissue. It connects muscle to the bones. Don't get confused between ligaments and the tendons. Okay, while playing, my ligaments are got tear off. So ligaments and tendons are different. Okay, mostly happen. Those are sportsmanship. They mostly undergo these things, tear of the ligaments. Okay, so tendons. What are tendons? Connect the muscles to the bones. Tendons are the white fibrous tissue. They are white fibrous tissue and they have a great strength but limited flexibility. They can't flexible. Is it possible to flex like this? ये वाला part ऐसे कर सकता हो? No, flexibility is not there. But in case of ligaments, ligaments are a connective tissue. It connects the bone to bone. It has a great strength and elasticity. If I want to cook बोल रहा हूँ, I'm sorry. If I want to kick a football, cook हो गया मेरे से, sorry. If you want to kick the football, what am I going to do? This one. If I do this much, what is going to happen? Not that much energy. But if I do this much, then energy will be more. So flexibility is given by the ligaments. Happens sometimes happen ना एक बहुत जोर से kick दे रहे हो, it going to pain. Why? Your ligaments tear will be there. Even if you want to, in case of badminton, if you want to do like this, if you do very harshly, then what going to happen? This part is going to pain because of ligaments tear. Okay. So tendons are what? Those who connect the muscle to the bones are the tendons. Ligaments are what? Bone to bone attachment. I will give you time to write. Now, bones. What are the bones? Bone is a very strong and non-flexible skeletal connective tissue. Bones are our skeleton system and protect the main organ of the body, like a rib cage protecting all the internal organs, majority the heart and lungs, right? And cartilage. What is cartilage? Cartilage, a very flexible thing. उसको तोड़ नहीं सकते हम लोग, right? It's a cartilage, bone-like structure, but flexibility is there. Fold, you can fold it, right? So the cartilage is the skeletal connective tissue. They are found in a nose tip. Nose tip? How? If you touch here, you find a bone, right? Skeleton देखा रहेगा ना, एकदम यहाँ पे खड्डा रहता है, right? What is that? Here is a bone, and from here it is a cartilage. Ear pinna. What is ear pinna? This is a ear pinna. End of a long bones and the ring of the trachea. Ring of the trachea. Okay. Trachea is look like this, right? Passage is there. And it provides the flexibility. It provides what? Flexibility. So what we have just covered, we cover this much part, types of connective tissue. And this is the question. So please write this quickly.